Let's call the town council meeting to order for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a roll call. Bill?
Here?
Chris? Finally here. Clint's here. Brandy?
Here.
And Angie?
Here.
Okay, everybody's here. Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of claims 25,319 to 25,366. Do we have a motion on those claims?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Is there any questions on any of the claims or anything about the claims? All those in favor of approving claims 25,319 to 25,366, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Approved 5-0. The next item on the agenda is we open the floor to public comments with a 3-minute time limit per person for items that are on the agenda only. Anybody that would like to speak?
Yeah, Wagner, south 600 west. What I'd like to talk about is the annexation fiscal plan, 2023 for the Keller Development annexation. I read through the thing. It appears to be the same boilerplate document that's been used since, as far as I know, back in 2019. Again, we've added 282 apartments. Copperstone is grown. We approved, or you all approved, 68 homes in Willow Ridge, and here we are getting ready to look at 50 apartments on this property, and it's still saying that there's no impact to the police, no impact to the fire department. I'm not buying this. We didn't buy it before. We've objected all the way along to this document that Crohn's provided. And I'd like to see y'all make some changes and get something credible for this purpose. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Dale. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? And is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve. I'll second.
We've had a motion to approve and second. Any questions or deletions or additions to those minutes?
Clint, just before you call the vote, I will be abstaining because I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay.
Three sufficient.
Anybody in favor, everybody in favor of approving the June 21st, 2023 minutes, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And two abstain.
Yes, thank you.
Approved, passed, and 3 to 2 abstain, 0 to 2 abstain. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Keller Development annexation. ordinance number 070523. Is there a motion on that ordinance?
I'll make a motion that we pass ordinance 070523.
Second that. It's been approved and seconded. We can open up the floor for discussion between the town council members now. Any discussion on it?
I'd like to just address really quickly Dale's comment and question on this. He's referring to, he says, a boilerplate that appears to have been used since 2019 from his reference or research. So I'll ask Doug, have you all reviewed this or seem to be in line with? It seems as if he's saying that it's outdated and not reflecting change that's happened since that time in certain, I guess, facts and figures, police, fire, cost, taxpayer, and all of that. I just think it deems merit to address it.
Sure. So the fiscal plan you've already approved
Right.
on, I think the ordinance says May 17th. And there were revisions made to the original submitted fiscal plan. I think Bill's motion made that, and Jenny made sure that was incorporated in this ordinance. And I completely understand the concerns from the public. The reason that it's different here, and that the fiscal plan is important, still it's required by statute, but when you're annexing vacant area, until there's development on it, there is not a fiscal impact. And so that's why this fiscal plan reflects that. If you were to annex an area that had existing houses or businesses, you'd have to have a plan in order to take care of those things that you're annexing in. But when you're annexing in undeveloped property, the fiscal plan is more just procedural.
Okay.
So I have reviewed it, and as you know, it was developed by the town's fiscal advisor, Cronin Associates, and that's why it looks rather similar, because you're annexing in undeveloped land. If it was developed land, you should expect to see some impact because you know what you're taking on. It's not until the later development process that you know, and of course we have an idea of what Keller plans to put there, but there's all these other steps to it. So in annexation, you're taking on undeveloped land.
Well, I understand what Dale's saying on that because
Yeah.
we've had fiscal plans, 14 fiscal plans that all say exactly the same thing. And we never need any more police or anything, but we've got 5 or 6 more police than we had when we started all this. So, you know, I mean, I'll buy that there's nothing developed on the land, but isn't the fiscal plan to foresee what's going to happen when it's developed? I mean, like the fiscal plan on our bond issue, we knew what was going to develop on it. I would have thought that would have changed a little bit.
If I may, the fiscal
But
plan
we've
here,
already passed the fiscal plan, so it really doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But since it was brought up,
yeah, the fiscal plan here is for the annexation.
Right.
And because you're annexing undeveloped property, it doesn't contemplate that step. Of course, as you mentioned, we know that's going to happen. It's different than the bond ordinance because that bond, that development is what finances the bond. And so you have to have that planned out. Here, you're just annexing undeveloped property. And yes, we know what's going to happen. And so that's certainly something you can talk with your fiscal advisor about, like, hey, we'd like to see this in the future. This meets the statutory requirements. And again, I understand the concern. That's something that you can work with them on in the future.
go ahead.
Yeah, Bob and I, we've looked at those before. We kind of wonder, and I always think it would be better if they would reflect like Willow Ridge, 0.5 officers needed, or departments, or 0.5. So, we kind of keep that record of saying, hey, now it's time to, again, it would be relevant.
This has been an issue we've had for many, many, many years,
Yeah.
where they build this subdivision, don't need any officers. They build this subdivision, we don't need any officers. You put those two together, I need 2. So, again, you're doing undeveloped property, like, we all kind of know what the end game's gonna be, so.
But
We're planning
actually,
to-
this fiscal plan's already been approved. This is, what we're doing tonight is actually on the ordinance to bring the development under the R3 zoning.
Yep.
But that would be interesting to know, so from your point of view,
Oh, yeah.
would you say we need more people
You know
for
how
what
the
we're
fire,
doing?
yeah, you know how the fire side is, you know,
Sure.
the developers come in, the commercial comes in, you know you need it, but the fiscal plan that we're talking about, we've approved, but again, it's undeveloped property, so it's really, by law, that's the right way to do it, but is it the right way to do it?
Use the physical plan as a tool for you guys to help plan versus coming behind the physical plan and saying, okay, we're gonna add because the level of service that we need to give.
And Doug, you said the fiscal plan that we have, and, you know, is very similar to all prior fiscal plans, it meets the statutory criteria, but we can ask our consultant to include additional items, and I think that that would be a perfect request to say, okay, let's not just meet the minimum. Let's now talk about what is proposed, and to the extent we know, and in many situations, we do know, because the annexation is part of a proposed development. So even if it's not required, why don't we ask Cronin Associates, moving forward, any additional fiscal plans, include a section that talks about what will the effect of the proposed development be? Because exactly what Dale said, what Jim and Bob are saying, that at least lets us start budgeting. You know, here's a half an officer, here's one officer. You know, it's great that the fiscal plan meets the statutory criteria and minimum requirements, but I think that we should reach out to them and say, okay, now, let's go beyond that. And because then that document's gonna be a much more useful tool. You know, it's not just check it off on the statutory requirements. Yes, it was there, but for a planning tool, it's gonna help us a lot more.
Yep.
So,
I agree. I would also add that maybe that's an initial step in the annexation fiscal plan, but then you develop some trigger to have an update to the fiscal plan. Because really, as you know, when you have undeveloped land, the development property process takes a while. And so maybe it's pulling permits that you gauge that off of, because until you have built buildings, you're not going to need the police officers. Until you have property taxes being collected, which are delayed a year, you're not going to have the funding for it. And so have the annexation fiscal plan kind of be a baseline, but then have some other trigger to let you know, hey, now we're getting closer to needing these additional services.
okay.
Well, I think a lot of towns do that with the economic development fees, you know, and we don't have that, so, basically, we're getting what we get.
And I was not at the May 17th meeting when that was passed or discussed, so that's why I wanted to clarify kind of all of the details on that, because it does seem that with time that should have evolved. I don't know, maybe a bit more, if that's the right word.
I think that makes perfect sense, and thanks, Dale, for pointing that out, and see if we can go a little bit above the minimum requirements and get something that's more useful. But this evening, the issue under the ordinance is the annexation.
There's an ordinance changing extending the corporate boundaries of the town of New Palestine.
And bringing that parcel in under R3 zoning.
Right.
And, you know, where it's located, that makes absolute perfect sense, in my opinion. So that's why I made the motion, and I'm in favor of the motion for that reason.
Anything else? Well, I'm going to just say that I'm not in favor of the motion because, in my opinion, apartments, you don't know what it's going to bring, and the location of it makes it difficult as far as traffic is, and just the criteria of it being an apartment complex, and knowing that apartment complexes, we passed a fiscal plan that showed you know, it didn't do anything, but we already know that there'll be more, police runs there and stuff like that, so basically I'm against it. Anybody else?
I agree with you. I understand the whole annexation and getting the property into our town limits, but I got my butt burned the last time because we agreed to this to bring it in and have it up for discussion, and it just gained steam and went on no matter what anybody said, so I'm with you on that. I think there needs to be some changes before we approve anything.
It's for the property being annexed, but not for the next phase, is that what it is, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for expanding the
And that's, I'm
boundaries.
thinking the same
Yeah.
thing.
Well, this ordinance we have before us is ordinance changing and extending the corporate boundaries of the town of New Palestine, Indiana, and it's basically, it's to bring those 7, 8 acres or whatever it is exactly, I don't know what it is exactly, in under R3 to develop a senior living apartment complex.
I don't like the wording that it is. Can we get that changed before we approve this? The
What's-
things that we just said that we wanted to see added to it, can't we have Buzz go back and add to it before we agree on this?
Well, but the fiscal plan's already been approved.
So why does it say the fiscal plan, annexation fiscal plan?
The fiscal plan is attached with what had been changed in the last meeting.
Okay, is it, so the changes that were made, are they in red so we can see what was changed?
No, they are just taken out. You had 2 sentences taken out.
But we have already approved the fiscal plan with the changes.
Okay,
So you approved the fiscal plan with the changes, but now currently you're not in favor of the annexation? At this time, based on those fiscal changes that were mentioned tonight?
No,
I'm
I-
just trying to clarify.
No, I voted on the fiscal plan for the same reason Dale gave, that
Mhm.
that fiscal plan is like a piece of toilet paper.
Oh. I know your philosophy on that.
Yeah, that's right, so
Okay.
if you don't want to hear it again.
I mean, the rest of the town may not know your philosophy on it, but I
Okay.
do. I'm just
You know, it
processing
amazes
here.
me the fiscal plan could be the same for everything. So anyway, that's not what we're voting on tonight, it's already been approved. So we have ordinance 070523 that had been a motion for to pass it, and it's been seconded. All in favor of passing ordinance 070523, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. 4-1, it passes 4-1.
Technically, Clint, I think you wanted to say nay, because you checked the record, there was 5 ayes.
Well, opposed, I said aye.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
opposed to it.
The same sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, vote by the same sign.
Fine. So are you wanting to get somebody else besides Buzz to start doing this for us if you're tired of doing the toilet paper?
Not if they're gonna do it the same way.
So what's your,
I mean, I don't understand the reasoning behind these fiscal plans that say the same exact thing, and they never need any more police, never need any more of this, never need any more of that. It's not gonna change anything. I mean, I don't understand it.
well, at the last meeting, I said we were approving all of these and we needed more police officers, so when budget time came around, we needed to look into that to make sure that the officers were taken care of. We can't do anything about the fire department, but we could do something about the police because we know what's coming. So, but we still need to have it worded.
Well, we could probably, with the discussion we had tonight, we might be able to, get with Buzz and maybe get something that would actually be worthwhile.
Okay.
Mr. President, perhaps
Yes,
that would
ma'am.
be a good discussion for you to have with our associates on how is it that,
We've gone through this
We've
every
gone through
time for
this.
the last 10 years.
and we've never needed more public safety, and how can that be?
Oh, I mean,
Just for one
I
example.
think you said they have hired a lot more public.
We
safety,
have.
But they always say.
But not based
Well,
on the.
Not based
not
on
based on-
it.
Again,
So what's the matter if we
Yeah.
When
do
your
it the right way?
fiscal report
Right.
only says it's
Right.
vacant land. So
Right,
there is no,
yeah.
and vacant land
Yeah.
will not require any additional services.
Right, right.
But we now want to go above and beyond, add a section that says
Right.
impact of proposed
Yes.
development, and then give the rest of the story.
Right.
Which
Because-
is, if you build 50 apartment units for senior living, this would be the impact.
Right.
Or if you build 420 apartments, or if you build 300 single-family homes not to be rented, you know, whatever it is that is the proposed development, then have a section that says, this is, and it's just anticipated, it's, you know, it's not written in stone, but for us, it's gonna at least give us some guidance, which we haven't received before. So, you know, I think we can then obtain a report that's gonna be a lot more useful for planning.
It's proactive.
Okay, thanks, Bill. The next item on the agenda is a discussion about having an executive meeting regarding the Trevor Lloyd Jones lawsuit.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
And Doug has suggested that we appoint somebody to listen to what they want to propose. Help me out on this, Doug. And then wait on an executive meeting until we get Trevor Lloyd Jones' reaction to what we're going to propose. Or do we want to have an executive session to tell Adam what we want to propose?
Question, are we making the proposal, or are we responding to a proposal that he has made?
No proposal's been made yet. What I was suggesting, and I don't think we did it after the last executive session on this matter, was that the council appoint a litigation representative. Normally in a city, that would be the mayor. I know we have, the president is the town executive, but we had changed presidents, and I think the litigation actually started prior to, I think when Ted was still here, so I don't know that anybody was ever appointed. So just to clarify, that person would be kind of the representative. We would still have an executive session to keep the whole council informed. So no offer has been made yet, just have a representative that it would be quicker for us to talk to, and then still keep the full council informed.
So if I was representative on that, would I be able to inform the council as it was going along, or what? I mean, individually, or?
Well, you couldn't have serial meetings, so we'd still have to look at open door law. But you can inform two or less people, but you couldn't do two
Or
or
would
less
we
than 2 plus.
rather have an executive meeting?
Well, I think because the purpose would be to formulate, here's a proposal, I would strongly recommend that it be the full council.
Well, okay, that's
And
fine.
that way we get 5 opinions, and it's not just one person. And afterwards, so that we can be much more responsive, I think it makes sense to have 1 or 2 people, you know, here's what we're going in, here's what we're asking for, but let that criteria be determined by the council in an executive session, and then whoever can respond as they go back and forth. And then I think when you get to the point of, here's our final position, here's their final position, you probably need another executive session, because, you know, if I was 1 or 2 of those, if I was one of the people, I wouldn't want to make that decision myself. I want the full council.
Well, okay, well, why don't we, if nobody's opposed to this, set a date for an executive meeting? Is Adam got any restrictions on when he'd be available?
Adam will be available he'll be available. If not, he will put together a memo and I can present it to you. But Adam will be available.
Okay, so when, has anybody got an idea when would be a good time to,
I would suggest if everybody's gonna be here at the next meeting, that we do it before that, just to,
An hour before?
I won't be here, but, I mean,
I'll be zooming.
I can't be here. I'll be
Hold on.
up in town.
When are you leaving?
The 15th, and I won't be back, and I'll be gone through the 22nd. From the 23rd, actually.
Would everybody be available next Wednesday, the 12th?
I will not be in town.
I'll be out of town, but I could Zoom.
Okay, what would be a good date? I'm taking suggestions on dates here.
Tomorrow? I'll be good tomorrow.
We gotta give notice.
How
We have to
much
give
time do we
notice.
have to,
48 hours.
48 hours, so
I will be out of town the 11th through the 14th.
how about the 10th?
That would be a Monday.
Gives us, if we put the notice out tomorrow, that's more than 48 hours. And that way it's before people leave town.
I can do that.
I can do that.
At what time?
After work,
6?
it's fine with me. Okay,
Does that work?
can everybody do
I
6?
think so. I think I'm available.
Okay. You're in check with your representative.
I think I'm good then.
Okay, everybody in favor of having our executive session on the Trevor Lloyd Jones lawsuit set for 6 p.m. Monday, July 10th, 2023. Vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's set. Next on our agenda is the bid opening for the community crossing bid project.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty well stated in the agenda. This is the bid opening for community crossings, and we've got 3 sealed bids from contractors. Our town attorney will open them up and read off the name of the contractor and the bid amount.
Music.
At least the drum roll.
Drum roll, yeah. With Jeopardy.
Well, some wrapping paper, let's go.
They seal them pretty good.
Yes, they do.
That's funny.
It's like a soap opera.
It's Jimmy Fallon's letters.
It's elevator.
All right. Our first bid is from CCMG. The total,
That wouldn't be the contractor, that's Community Crossings
Yeah.
matching grant.
yes, that is.
Oh.
Good catch.
It should be on the envelope, the outside.
Oh, I thought you said it was on BP 10.
BP 10's the bid amount.
Oh, gotcha.
That's my bad.
Oh.
First bidder is Dave O'Mara Contractor. Do we need the date or the address as well?
Nope, just the amount.
$331,851.
$331,851.
Correct.
Gotcha, Dave O'Meara.
I'm not worried about spelling, is he, Brandy?
Yeah.
Oh. All-Star Paving made my job easy. Less tape. All-Star Paving, Inc. $235,000, $235,074.50. $235,074.50.
I like that one better.
Wow.
Wait, $235,074 and how many cents?
50 cents.
50.
50 cents.
Gotcha.
50 cent.
And our third one is Robertson Paving Incorporated. $202,522.50. $202,522.50.
Got it?
Well, obviously,
Well,
Steve's gonna have to look at these and make sure everything's included.
I'll go over the bid tab tomorrow and I'll
Yeah.
award it yet this week. So,
Do you need a motion from us giving authority to?
Not at this time.
Perfect.
I'm sorry, a motion to accept the bids.
Oh, I move that we accept the 3 bids as presented.
I'll second that. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye, opposed? So, Steve, we're giving Steve the authorization to look at these bids and pick out the one that seems the best.
most responsible and responsive bidder in the low bid, so, yeah.
And
Okay,
it doesn't always necessarily mean the lowest price if they haven't covered things or if they don't have a good track
well, that's what I
record.
wondered, if everything's covered because of this, there's $100,000, over $100,000 discrepancy in price.
Yeah, absolutely.
35% discrepancy in price.
Well, and this is not the case in this situation, but if Steve did a little looking and found out that 2 out of the 3 bidders had, recently been charged with fraud and have all kinds of, negative. I said that's not the case, but that in and of itself, just because you're the lowest price doesn't mean you're the most responsive and best bid, so.
No, and then there's
And
several
then-
reasons you
right.
can get prices all over the board, like
Right.
a certain contractor is
And so,
really, really
right,
busy.
if somebody's
and
busy, they'll be a little higher, yeah.
it can be way higher, yeah.
What was our estimate on that to start with, Steve?
I estimated it right at 202, a little over 202,000,
Oh, okay.
with NDOT's match being 75%, so 150-some thousand are in the around 50.
Okay, I just wondered, because of the difference in price, what our estimate was.
Yep, we should be good.
Anything else on that, Steve?
Nope.
Next item on our agenda is department reports. Bob?
So, reached out to Kelly Chevrolet, still no word on the squad car. It's been there probably a month now. So I reached out again today, no response, so we're still kind of waiting.
It'd be used by the time we get it, you know?
I know. Well, maybe next year we're gonna take another look at a different vendor. Wade Whitaker is scheduled for instructor school, coming up the next week or two, so they'll add another instructor to our department. Steve and I think we're gonna try to reach out to the, NDOT for our school zone, that sign, that flashing light is still down. Like Steve said, it took him forever to pick it up, so when it's gonna get put back up. I know August 1st, I think the school starts back up, so I'd like to see that thing back up and running before that happens. Also, one thing I'd like to work on is the golf cart ordinance. It's really just a minor change. The way that it works now is, I think it's like May is when they can start applying for the golf carts for the current year. I don't know why we just don't make it January 1. That way it's good for year round, or good from year to year. So, just a minor change. I'll work on that and then either have the attorneys look it over or just bring it to you for the presentation. Anyway, and we've done a lot of them.
Yeah.
Quite a few golf cart or permits have been done. So it's working. That's all I have.
I have something for you that's kind of a funny thing.
Awesome, let's hear
We had a meeting last Wednesday for Copperstone for the planning part, and I pulled in and parked next to a golf cart that had a bunch of empty beer cans in the dash of it, walking in here.
it. Did you question them?
1 and 2.
Did they have a permit? That was the real
I know,
question.
right?
Just raise your right hand real quick.
Maybe
Sounds like a
they-
recycler cleaning up the neighborhood.
Maybe.
That's what it was.
Maybe time to the back of the golf cart?
Oh, no,
Oh, you don't think that's the empty beer can? Okay.
just a wild guess.
Thank you.
What you got for us there, Jim?
Last Wednesday, I met for the second group, the Civic Circle there in the county. This time they covered about 4 hours worth of government financing. They really went into like your levies, assessments, TIFs, abatements. I mean, for a 2-hour class, he spoke for a little over 2 hours. It was pretty in-depth and fairly interested, and I really hated to see Yvonne miss that one, but it happens. Second, I'm working with the county on a grant, Ignite grant. I think it has to be turned in by July 14th. Working on a grant with the county, tourism, 9-Star, and I'm hoping that the hospital's interested because they're a Healthy 365. Working with Sugar Creek, parts of that to be kayaking and a canoe route. The state has a whole level of canoe routes that they really publicize, so working with them, we'll get the grant turned in. If we get it, we'll go with it. Anybody want to put those little go things on their helmet and take a trip through there and let me know what it looks like?
I was thinking we need a fiscal plan to
Yeah,
consider the impact.
yeah.
Or-
Actually, I had, from DNR, I got a lot of good feedback from them, you know. 9-Star is very interested in it. They're actually gonna donate 54 acres in Philadelphia, possibly to the county. There's a parcel down there by the creek, which would be a good inlet. So there's just a lot of good things kind of lining up. You know, we've pushed the trails and paths, you know, throughout the county. This would just be another avenue for recreation. So,
Would that be ran by a private entity? Or what would this grant pay for?
the grant was, the biggest part of the grant's gonna pay for your,
Landing and,
your receiving.
Right.
Parts of it, the gravel, parts of that would be signage, you know, the route of the creek, probably rules, regulations, you know, the courtesy part of being on the creek. It's no different than the trouble when they implemented the trails and the paths. Everybody was up in arms that, you know, they didn't want any sidewalks in front of their house. They didn't want, you know, I think the kayaking canoers are probably similar to bike riders, you know. I think it's a group of people that does respect privacy of everybody, and they just get out and enjoy their jaunts and move along, so. But we'll, like I said, once we get the grant turned in, I think Wednesday, the hospital's meeting, and they're gonna have maybe I'll get a little feedback from them. Not asking for any financing from the hospital, I just think it would be a good thing with the Healthy 365 for the county, and plus to have their name on the grant or the letter of recommendation as well, so. But if anybody has a GoPro and wants to take a little trip, it's about 6 miles, so feel free to.
6 miles through the county?
Mhm.
In the creek.
Rain first.
In the creek?
Yeah.
Get out and walk behind my house, Joe. No way.
Yeah, a lot of it's not navigable, it's considered that, but a lot of times it is, and there are parts that you do have to walk, and that's no different than even Flat Rock. Flat Rock, when it gets low enough, you still have to walk it, and that's a big waterway, so.
What else you got, Jim?
Those are the 2 items I have, yeah.
Steve, have you got anything else?
No, just the community crossings, and to follow up on Bob, I'll give NDOT a call tomorrow. There's 2 numbers you can call, regular and then the emergency. So I think emergency, you seem to get a much quicker response. So I'll just let them know that flasher needs to be up before school starts.
Thanks, Steve.
I know Yvonne's not here, but does the,
Just that last week we spent 4 days in a conference up in Fort Wayne for Clerk Treasurer School, and that's all I have.
okay, now we'll open up the floor to public comments, and you can talk about anything you want to talk about for up to 5 minutes. Any takers?
Sure. Angie mentioned the meeting Wednesday.
Name,
Dale Wagner.
do the name thing, Dale.
Sorry, Dale Wagner, 4462 South 600 West. So Angie mentioned the meeting Wednesday. There was probably, I would guess, at least 30 people here. It was a full house, standing around the walls. Jim and them were bringing out extra chairs and everything, so appreciate all the support from even those that weren't on that committee or I'm not sure what it's called, commission.
Advisory Council.
Advisory Council, okay. Do appreciate the ladies getting it posted. There were people that asked, like, where is it? So it would be nice to get that meeting onto the calendar as well, where all the other meetings are posted. It would have also been a nice opportunity to get a good video of a lot of participation on the video. So we might want to figure that process out, just for documentation. My other comment is back to the fiscal report, and I understand what the lawyer's saying, that it's bare land and you're annexing bare land. But in the fiscal report, it talks about the zoning, that it's going to be multifamily and R3 and all that. It also lists a plan for the area, which mentions that it's 50 2-bedroom apartments, and the name of it is Ashton Acres. So in one part of it, you're saying it's going to be used for this, but then on the other hand, you're kind of saying, okay, it's bare land. There's no impact, but you know what it's going to be used for, so it's hard to say how can you justify saying it's no impact. That doesn't make any sense. I appreciate the support from a lot of you, because to me it doesn't make any sense for us not to be considering it. The other thing is, in a lot of these annexations, it says it's the annexation, when people put in their document, is contingent on the R3 zoning and approval of the project. So it's hard at that point to say, well, it's not gonna be annexed anymore if we don't approve the project. So how can you say that you're just considering it as bare land? So, you know, that would be my argument to saying it was a field before, it's a field when we annex it, we don't need more police, so.
Well, I mean, that's their intention, of what they want to do, but, you know, that could all change. We don't know that. So that's, you know, I don't know what the answer to that is.
Oh, I did have one other question.
Okay.
The 10th is an executive session, right?
The what?
The
Yes.
10th is an executive session, so it's not open to the public.
Right. And we aren't allowed to make any final decisions, but we'll hear what they're proposing. Yeah, yeah. Anybody else? Okay, now it's, next thing on the agenda is, town council comments. I don't have anything. Brandy?
The only thing I would say is that I really enjoyed Summerfest, and I thought it was a wonderful event, and they did a top-notch job as usual, and saw lots of people in our community and outside our community here, and I think every year it gets more successful and attracts more people, and I'm just glad we have it. So big kudos to the Palestine Main Street and Summerfest Committee for making this happen.
Bill?
Brandy stole my thunder at the Summerfest.
That'll
so
happen.
I would
That'll
just,
happen when you're down on the list.
and that's okay. So other than that, I have nothing to add. But
Okay.
thank you to Main Street because that was fantastic. And it was well attended and it does get better each year.
Thanks, Bill. Angie?
I just wanted to piggyback off of Dale. So Jenny or whoever, or Jim's doing it on the town Facebook page and the town web page, if we can post when those meetings are, so that people know and don't have to look several different places because there was complaints. So let's make sure that we get that posted and talk to Scott about video for those meetings.
Yeah, it was really well attended, but the only thing is everybody was from the same edition. You know, there wasn't a lot of,
Yeah.
Well, can I ask a question regarding that?
Yeah.
So it's not really an official meeting. Is that correct?
It's a task force of the planning commission.
Yeah.
So
it is.
It's a-
It was posted.
Yeah, I know we have to post it.
No, but you guys did post it.
I know we have to post, I know that, I know we posted it. I just don't know if we, like, as far as like videotaping it and then we don't do minutes for it. Chris
No.
is just to supply like a summary of what happened. Is that how we want to
Well,
continue
Doug,
to
it
go
was set
forward?
up as an advisory board, wasn't it, or?
Yeah, so my recollection was Ron appointed 3 people that were from the Plan Commission, and then there were
I think, yeah. It
civil.
was him and Chris and,
Yeah.
was it Jim?
So under open door law, that would qualify as a meeting of a governing body because it was established by a governing body. So if you do that officially, it becomes its own sub-governing body subject to open door law. So it's subject to open door law. If there is no minutes taken, you just have to have a memorandum. So somebody has to just have a paragraph about what we talked about.
Okay, so we don't need minutes of that meeting.
Correct.
But a summary.
Got a summary of what happened in the meeting.
And we have not received a summary of either of the meetings yet that I
And
know
who does
of.
the summary?
I mean, I wrote a 2-page
Okay.
summary of the first meeting. That was
Okay.
the 24th.
Okay,
And that was part of what Ron went through at the meeting
Okay.
last week. I have not written anything yet on this past meeting.
Yeah, I would suggest that the 3 planning commission members nominate a secretary, and that's who does the memorandum.
Chris, is there an already set the next meeting?
Yeah, next meeting's on the 26th of July, so 3 weeks from tonight.
And as a quick heads up to the town and to Scott behind me here, the legislature passed a new law this session which will require all cities, towns, counties, townships by 2025 to video record and to broadcast all meetings held in their meeting space. So anybody that meets here, any subgroup like this one, would have to be recorded as well if they meet in this location. You got a year and a half though, so.
That's great news.
They must be recorded and cast
Yep.
live?
Broadcast.
Broadcast live?
Yep. I can get you a summary on that.
That's just official government meetings? Or is that any meeting held in your town hall?
Government meeting,
Okay.
yeah, governing
All right.
bodies. If they're subject to open door law and they meet
Okay, all right.
in your space. The thought was that if you already have established it for the council or whatever other body, and they meet in that same place, then you should use it
Okay.
for transparency.
HOA, they met here, that we
No.
So if we can post it to Facebook and then post it again closer to the meeting time, just to give everybody a heads up. So they have time to plan and then a reminder that the meeting's coming up. On the town page and the Facebook page would be great. And then on the Saboa report, when are we going to discuss the Saboa report? Did Devon say anything about that?
It can't be discussed until the audit report is finalized and sent to us.
Okay.
And once that's finalized, it can be open for discussion in a public meeting.
Okay.
Anything else, Andy?
That would be it.
Chris? Got nothing. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Well, before you, Jerry, can I ask you guys one
Uh-oh.
question? Sorry. I noticed on the town page, the New Pile Lions Club has something come up in September. Have they reached out to you guys about roads or parades or anything like that?
No, that's the first time I've seen it called an Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's why I didn't know if you needed somebody to come in and speak to you or request.
But they said there's gonna be a parade.
Yeah, I saw that on there. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't talked to anybody. That's why I didn't know if one of you or anybody would talk to them. So just trying to plan manpower.
Maybe we should ask them to come in and
Request like everybody else
let
does.
us, yeah. I mean, maybe they're gonna plan on using the train tracks.
I doubt it. I don't even know who's even in charge of it anymore.
That would be Jeff Bell.
Jeff would be.
Yeah,
One of those two.
his wife is actually the contact person for
Okay.
that.
I'll reach out to Jeff.
Just either one or Mark Kennedy, they both pretty up to date.
Okay. I know we require everybody else to request it, so we probably do the same
Right.
thing with them. Not to take for granted. Sorry.
Oh,
Back to you,
fine.
Clint.
That's a good point.
Where are we at?
You're adjourned.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye.
There you go.
Adjourned.